In this lesson, I'd like to show you the SystemFlow documentation and how to use it, why is it important. So the latest and greatest SystemFlow docs is on our page. When you click on the docs link, you'll find the newest versions documentation. So if you're using the newest version of SystemFlow that we ship, you'll find everything in here. But if you have SystemFlow without the updates and you want to check out what's the documentation for the previous version, or maybe you have updates but you've created a website on the older version of SystemFlow, you can go at the very bottom of our page and select changelog, and here you have all the SystemFlow versions and updates, and also you'll find some information about what's new and basically some videos, explainers and stuff like this. But also if we release a major version of SystemFlow, so for example, if we ship SystemFlow 1.0, we'll also include the documentation link in here. So here you have SystemFlow for Figma, and here is the link to the docs which are appropriate for this particular version. So if whenever you want to, for some reason, check out the previous versions of SystemFlow and the docs, here you'll find everything. So to the left hand side in the documentation, you have all the categories that we have, and those are the tabs that will open to the right hand side. So here you are in the overview section where we have all the components and also the design section. All the sections are here. So this is basically the same as you have to the left hand side. And also we have tabs. You can click on the tabs, or you can just scroll the website, the documentation website, so that you'll be able to preview everything that's in this tab. Now in the About section, we have introduction with the video, we have overview that you've seen, and we also have licensing and resources. So in this section, you'll find some requirements that we ask you to comply to in order to use SystemFlow, and also some illustration resources that we use. You'll also find here some discounts from our partners, and below you have the design section. So there is all you need to know about typography in SystemFlow, and color and spacing and stuff like this. If you want to use a specific, let's say, heading, you're going to use this class naming convention. So you're going to use class heading, and then you have combo class such as XL or L. And there you have the font size and appropriate measurements for the base for these classes. Obviously, you can tweak those classes to whatever you like. You can change the sizes, and then they will not comply to this documentation. But you have everything set up as like this in SystemFlow. And below you also have components. So you can use these text components like rich text, and also we have tagline and text wrapper. Whenever you want to use any component in Webflow, you just click on the name of that component. Now, the name of the component has been copied to your clipboard, and you can go to whatever project you've set up using SystemFlow, and you can paste this in the search menu. So I've deleted the section, the first section. The custom code I recommend you to leave in order for SystemFlow to work properly. But now let's click on the body, press Command E on the keyboard. Now you can paste, so Command V, and just press return. Now you have this element that you wanted to use, this text wrapper component, pasted into Webflow, and it's working component. It contains all the classes and typography that we have in the system. So whenever you change anything, literally it will apply to all the components that we've created. Next, we have colors, and we have classes for colors here. C stands for color, then you have B for background, and then the name of the color. So the first section of colors is for backgrounds, and the other section you use for text. So we have color, text, and T stands for text, and this same naming convention. So when you change neutral 10, it will change for background and text, and then you can apply it. I'll explain that in detail in the next lessons. The same goes for paddings. For example, we have spacing classes, so S for spacing, then padding, and Y or X, for example, for the particular axis, or you can use T for top and B for bottom and stuff like this. So this is just the convention that we use. We've created a lot of different classes like this. Then we have components. So in the components section, you have buttons and links and breadcrumbs and stuff like this. Again, if you want to use the button, just click on the name of this component and you're ready to use it in Webflow. we have a customize section, which is on the second tab, which is probably the most important section at the beginning if you want to change something about, let's say, buttons. So if you want to modify and fit the buttons so that they suit your needs, for example, make rounded corners or edit whatever you want, you use this customize section. And we have subsections here. So to edit the padding and text size and border radius, you're going to use this section. You're going to click on the button, then change the properties that you like to change, for example, padding, and that's it. It will apply to all of the buttons that we have in our system. If you want to use the button, just click on the name, and then you go to Webflow, you basically Command E, paste it, and that's it. For example, for breadcrumbs and live components and other sections, we also have a lot of docs created here. Live components, for example, are pretty cool because they have live elements, scripts that we've created. We have things like drop downs, and everything here is working components. So you can just hover over the element, see the different states, and also click to show the drop down menu. So basically, this is a living and breathing documentation for your project. And the funny thing is that you can use this as the documentation. It will evolve in your project. When you make some adjustments to the classes, to the framework, it will all be mapped to the style guide in your project. So please note that you have the same pages in here as in our documentation, because our documentation is basically the same thing that we're just watching at right now. So you have everything in here. If you go to any docs page, you'll see that you have the menu on the left, and then we have this sections and customize, and everything is here. So when you make changes to colors, to typography, it will all be reflected in the docs as well. And then if you publish the docs, you can simply have the living documentation that lives along your website. You can send it to your marketing team, and that's it. In the design process, you probably don't need all the UI elements for the docs, so you can easily hide them. Let's go to customize page, and on this page at the very bottom to the left hand side, you have this documentation UI. You can set the display property to none, to this block, this docs UI block. So let's do it right now. And now let's go ahead and go to some other pages of documentation, and you'll see that everything that you don't really need for in the design phase. So this left-hand menu and all the tabs that we had is now set to display none, so it disappeared, and you can focus on the components. So if you want to use these pages to navigate through the components and just select and copy and paste components from here, not from there, not to copy them by clicking on their name, you can easily do so. And this is another way in which you can work with documentation within your project. You don't have to open the docs in the separate browser page. You just can browse through those pages and copy and paste elements. But as I said, the documentation UI, you might want to hide this for this particular way of working. And if you want to show it again, you set the display to block. And then if you publish your page, let's go to whatever documentation page we have, and let's preview this page. You'll see that we have all the elements in place. So we have the left-hand side menu and also the tabs that you can browse, and everything is here so that, for example, your marketing team or anyone from your team can work with. And yeah, the cool thing is that everything is interactive. So you can see this hover states, you can see exactly how the components will behave. So that's pretty great, I guess. And this is the way we keep everything organized. You don't have to sync anything with documentation. You don't have to click magic buttons to just synchronize the colors and stuff like this. It's all in one project. By the way, a handful tip: if you want to not to publish the documentation because it takes a while and Webflow indexes it so that your website might be heavier, you can set all those pages that you don't want to publish to drafts, and then it won't publish them in Webflow. It will just run smoother. Now, as you can see, we have a lot of different components, and some of them are really sophisticated, such as navigation menu, and then we have hero images. So we consistently add new components to SystemFlow. We just work with SystemFlow ourselves. We create websites for clients, and then if something is really cool that we've used and we want to make a component out of it, we just put it to SystemFlow and make it available for those of you who have SystemFlow with updates. So this is the documentation that changes in time, and probably in next month or in 2 or 3 months, you'll see different components in here, or maybe we refresh the styling and stuff like this. So that's the overview of SystemFlow docs. I'll see you in the next lessons.